An avenue lined with trees, electric lights gleaming through the foliage. Among the houses to the left, a miserable all-night cafe with tables and chairs on the pavement. In front of the houses on the left, a dim lamppost. It is not long after midnight.
Don't mind me asking. Missed your train?
Yes. Less than a minute. I came hurtling into the station just as the last one was pulling out.
Run after it.
Of course I could have done. But it's silly, really. I was weighed down like a donkey with bags and bags of shopping. You know what women are like. Shop, shop, shop. It took me nearly 3 minutes to get out of the taxi. Seriously, by the time I put my hands through all the handles and the strings.
Must look quite a sight. Know what I'd have done? Left them all in the taxi.
Ah, yeah. And what about my wife, my daughters and their friends?
And whinge.
You obviously have no idea what women are like when they escape to the country for the weekend.
Of course I know. They'll say they won't need to buy anything at all.
They even let on that they're going away to save. And then as soon as you get there, they remember all the things they've forgotten. Oh, darling, if you're going into town, could you get me some of that? And while you're there, if you could just get me some of those. If it's no trouble. Sweet that, no trouble, isn't it? And while you're there, if you can just... Darling, do you really expect me to do that in just 3 hours? Well, you could always get a cab. Trouble is, I really didn't think it would take me 3 hours. So I didn't bring my keys. Now I can't get into my own house.
And then?
Well, I left my stuff in the station master's office and went for a bite to eat. Well, then, just to waste some time, I went to the theatre. God, it was as hot as hell in there. When I came out, it was nearly midnight. The next train wasn't for another 4 hours. So, it didn't really seem worth splashing out the money on a cab or a hotel for what would be about 3 hours sleep. So here I am. This is open all night, isn't it?
Yes. It's all night. All your shopping in the station master's office?
Yes. Well, it's not a problem, is it? I mean, they'll be safe there, won't they? They were all nicely wrapped.
There's nothing to worry about. Sure, they're very well wrapped. Special skill young salespeople have for wrapping up what they've just sold. Quite a speciality. Let's go to their hands now. Hands. A great big sheet of shiny red paper. pleasure just to look at. So smooth you want to rub your face on it. Smoothly out on the counter. Gracefully, nonchalantly. But whatever you've just chosen, all nicely folded, right in the middle. First from underneath, they raise one side of the sheet, and from above they fold over the other one. Fold the ends into triangles, look under the points. Take up just enough string to tie up the bundle. Lift it so swiftly you hardly have enough skill, hardly have enough time to admire their skill for your handed package. Wrapped, waiting for you to stick your finger through the loop.
Pay quite a lot of attention to what they do in these stores, don't you?
It's past whole days of it. Spend an hour just staring into a shop window. Lose myself in it. Feel like I'd really like to be that piece of silk, that Egyptian cotton, that red or blue ribbon the sales girls measure out.
Yeah.
The customer leaves the store with his package dangling from his finger and his hands under his arm. Follow him with my eyes until I lose sight of him. I imagine so many things. No idea. Could you? Helps. Mr. Helps.
Helps? What helps?
Clinging like this. And the imagination. Life. I never let my imagination rest. For one moment. Just to cling to the lives of others. I know. Couldn't do that. That disgusts me. Nauseates me. Just strangers. Clinging to the lives of strangers on whom my imagination can work freely. Not aimlessly. Careful track of the tiniest little details I can find out about one person or another. No idea how my imagination functions, how hard I work, how deeply I penetrate other people's lives. I see somebody's house. I live in it. I feel part of it. So at home I can even sniff its own particular air. Which every house has, you know. Yours. Mine. We're in our own houses, we're no longer conscious of it. It is our air, the air of our own lives. Stand for me. I can see you do.
Yes, I mean, it must be fun imagining all those things.
Fun?
Yes, I should think that...
Tell me something. Have you ever gone to a good doctor?
Me? Oh, why, I'm not sick.
You're not. I just want to know whether you have or have not ever sat in the waiting room of some good doctor.
Well, yes, I took one of my daughters there once. Something wrong with her nerves.
Fine. You can tell me the details. I'm prying. All I meant was the waiting rooms. Have you ever noticed them? The sofas usually dark, old-fashioned looking. Upholstered chairs that hardly ever match. Armchairs. Stuff picked up here and there, second hand. Dumped in that waiting room for the patients. It belonged to the house. And the doctor would never entertain his wife's friends in there. This room is elegantly furnished. Such a contrast. This luxurious furniture would stick out like a sore thumb in that waiting room, where his patients have to make do with tack. Tell me, you took your daughter to see the doctor that time. Did you notice the chair or sofa on which you sat?
No, not really, no.
Of course not. Because you weren't sick. In sick men, you should notice. So wrapped up in their troubles. how often some of them sit there, staring intently at their fingers as they trace vague patterns on the polished arms of those chairs. So lost in their thoughts, they're hardly able to see. The impression it makes when the doctor's finished with you. You're on your way out and you come face to face with that chair again. And you were sitting in just before when you were still blissfully unaware of the verdict. I was occupied by some other patient. His own secret illness. So it's empty. Expressionless. Waiting for someone to sit down. What were we saying? Ah yes, pleasures of the imagination. I suddenly thought of the chairs in the doctor's waiting room. What do you think that was?
Yes, I really don't.
You see the connection? Neither do I. The thing is, we all have our own private, apparently unconnected memories. We call an image. We call another image. Seem unrelated, but they're not unrelated. Not for you. They have their reasons. They stem from our deeply personal experiences. So we have to pretend they don't appear. We can't just discuss them in everyday conversation or understand one another. I think more logical, often, than analogies based on such private images. Perhaps the connection here might be this. Look. Do you think those chairs in the doctor's waiting room get any pleasure from fantasising about which patient might sit in them next? Wondering what might be wrong with them, or what they'll do, where they'll go after their appointment? No, of course not. No pleasure at all. It's exactly the same with me. None at all. So many patients come and go with chairs. Poor things. Just stand there waiting to be sat on. That's exactly how I spend my life. One moment I'm busy with this, another with that. The moment is your turn, sir. Believe you me, I get absolutely no pleasure from listening to your story. From hearing about how you missed your train or your family waiting for you on holiday in the country. All the little troubles I presume you have.
I've got plenty.
Thank God they're only little. There are plenty who are worse off than you, my dear sir. I was saying how I use my imagination to cling to lives darkest. There's no pleasure in it, because I'm interested. Quite the opposite. Because I need to share in everyone else's problems so I can realise how pointless life is. Why I won't mind so much when I get to the end of it. Convincing yourself that takes quite a bit of doing that. To go on proving it to yourself, relentlessly. We feel this unquenchable thirst for life, don't we? We feel it here like an ache in our throat. We have no idea what it is and we can never satisfy it. Life, the very moment we experience it, is always so full of itself, we hardly ever taste it. We can really savour as the past. That's where the thirst for life comes from. Our memories. It's our memories that bind us to what? All this nonsense. Irritations, silly illusions, mad pursuits like... It seems like nonsense now. What seems dull. I go as far to say what seems like a real nightmare. Yeah. A real nightmare, sir. Who knows how all this will taste in 4, 5 or 10 years' time. Life. Oh my God, you only have to think of losing it. Especially when you know it's only a matter of days away. There! See that? That woman!
What? Where? Who?
There! peering around the corner.
A woman?
Yes, my wife.
Who's your wife?
She follows me around everywhere I go. Sometimes I could just go over there and kick her. Would it do any good? She's stubborn as a lost dog. You can't imagine what she's going through on account of me, though. She doesn't eat. She doesn't sleep. She just follows me around night and day. She doesn't look after herself. She doesn't even look like a woman anymore. She's a mess. Barely 34. She annoys me so much. Sometimes I get hold of her and I shake her. You're an idiot. I shouted at her. She stands there, takes it. She stares into those eyes. Those eyes that make my fingers itch. I could strangle her. I won't, of course. She lets me go. Start following me again. But there she is, peering around the corner.
Poor woman.
Poor woman? What do you mean, poor woman? Do you know what she wants? She wants me to stay at home calmly and quietly so she can love me, and stifle me with her cuddles and care. She wants me to lay around in the perfect order of all her rooms, and the spotlessness, and the silence, measured out by the tick-tocking of the big clock in the hall. That's what she wants. Now I ask you, just so you can appreciate the my same absurdity, the macabre ferocity of this pretense. I ask you if you think it possible that the houses of Fukushima, knowing that they were about to be smashed, would have remained where they were, intently lined up in the moonlight, the neat little rows along the streets, not daring to deviate 1 inch from the plan of the City Planning Commission. I don't think so. The city would have dropped everything and run for its life. Every house, every last stone would have somehow managed to escape. Do you agree?
Well,
Well, fine. Let's imagine the citizens of Fukushima calmly undressing, folding their clothes, slipping into bed to enjoy the clean feeling of freshly laundered sheets, knowing all the while that in the morning they'll be dead. Does that seem plausible to you?
look, perhaps your wife.
Let me finish. With death, my dear sir, they're like some strange insect someone might unexpectedly find on you. Walking along, someone you pass by suddenly stops you, finger and thumb cautiously extended, and says, "Excuse me, sir. May I?" You, my dear sir, you have death on you. And finger and thumb pluck off that insect, flick it away. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Death is not an insect. So many people you see walking around in ignorant bliss have it on them. No one can see it. Go on making plans for tomorrow and the next day. But come here, sir, I want to show you something. Come on. Under the light. Moustache. This is a pretty violet nodule. Do you know what it's called? Such a silly name. Something caramel. Pirandello. It's called. You say? Taste the sweetness. Pirandello. Death. You understand? It's passed me by and stuck this flower in my mouth and said, "Keep it, friend. I'll be back in 8 months. Maybe 10. Now tell me. You tell me how I, with this flower in my mouth, can stay at home calmly and quietly as that poor unhappy girl would like me to. I suppose you'd like me to kiss you. Scream at her. Yes, kiss me. hold of my face and tried to kiss me. Kiss me in the mouth. She says she wants to die with me. She's not saying. That's why I'm never home! I stand by shop windows. Yes, I have to admire the skill of shop assistants. Because you understand. If ever I found myself for one moment unoccupied, faced by the void inside of me, I could snuff out the life of a total stranger. Poison the drink of someone like you who's unfortunately missed their last train. A jest! I'm off. Myself to Tokyo. Except now the most beautiful apricots in season this time of year. How do you eat them? You spin on, don't you? Break them in half and squeeze them open like a pair of juicy lips. Delicious. My regards to your wife and daughters when you get back out to the country. So now wearing white and pale blue, standing on a meadow under the shade. Hey, do you need a favour, really? When you get home tomorrow morning, there's a picture of the cottage is a short walk from the station. More, perhaps?
Yeah.
Easy to walk back. First tuft of grass you see by the side of the road. Count the blades for me. How many blades you can count? It's the number of days I have left to live. Should we pick a bit tougher? About how I adapted the Pirandello script to how it made the play work for me to address the research question about people living in their own realities. Despite speaking a common language, it's very difficult for us to truly empathise with people unless we can share our experience with them. In Pirandello's script, at the ending, he says, I could snuff out the life of a total stranger, pull out a gun, pull out a revolver, and shoot someone like you who's unfortunately missed their train. And the thing I thought worked a bit better with poisoned glass is because until the moment I've got a gun pointed at him, or until the moment he's been shot, he's still not in my experience of being I'm terminally ill, and he's not terminally ill until the moment that gun goes off in that split second. Whereas if I say to him, I've poisoned your glass, for that split second we're both dying, and that's the moment where I feel the only moment in the play where I feel we truly connect. So I just wanted to play with the script. I was making my adaptations work like that. That's all to say about that. So thanks very much for watching, and thank you, Graham, for supporting. Thanks, Karen. That's very beautiful.
I'm actually taking the photograph. Yeah, I am as well.
Yeah, please do. Please do, yeah. Really hard to get them this time of year, actually. Thank you very much. Well, I have to get a 3 shots.
3 shots?
Thank you. I'm glad to be
trying.
Well done.
Thanks for helping.
That's alright, it's been good fun.
Roped you in.
Yes, yeah. Right, a few weeks ago now.